Well, here we are again. Dylan knows part B, part A, I should say. I had just done a hour and 9 minute stream of my show, and this hadn't happened for now, but we're starting to get the connection getting all frizzed out again. So it wasn't going to be a good idea for me to continue doing this this way. So I will break it up into two parts. So bear with me. I got about a page and a half left to do. So let's continue. Life-size plush Psyduck will be coming soon. Psyduck is one of my favorite Pokemon Go characters, and the fact that we now have a possible one that could be about the same size as me is absolutely great. And hey, great birthday present for myself, or not for myself, for you guys to give to me. That'd be perfect. The last episode for 353 was called Great Birthday Present for myself, or not for myself, for you guys to give to me. That'd be perfect. The last episode for 353 was called CGI Assquatch Sex Scenes. And then this one is called More Assquatch for Your Buck. I thought I covered the CGI sex scenes, but I guess I didn't because it's next on my list. With movies and television shows restarting, there are now new rules to follow. One of them is, one production company is like, you're going to need to have not as many people on set and not have people as close together due to COVID-19. So you got to sort of, separate yourself a little bit. So, that's one way of doing it. Another one is, if we have sex scenes in a movie, we might have to do it CGI, which I don't understand how they would do a CGI sex scene. I guess there's ways you can do it. But, if you need to have the actors dressed in the special outfits, you need to do the CGI stuff and then have them do sex and then just film over it. It doesn't make sense. Why don't you just have them do it? So I don't know. So that is a possibility coming up down the line. This year has been absolutely insane, as we all know. It started in January. Believe it or not, it's been so long ago that people might have forgotten that January had two major events. One, that asshole in the White House tried to send us into World War III with Iran. And B, Australia was on fire during their summer. The hottest temperatures they've ever had in Australia ever. And no rain, was so dry that fires started and tore up most of the outback and stuff like that, killed tons of animals, caused lots of property damage, and eventually the rains came, caused flooding and mudslides, but eventually it's sort of evened itself out, and they haven't had any issues since. But during that time, animals were being rescued by Australians. I talked about that in my show all the way back in January. And one of these was a koala bear and a wombat who were put in isolation together after their home was burned during these fires, have struck up a long-term best friendships. If animals can do this, why can't we? Be good to each other and party on, dude. All right, so I'm gonna keep on. Here's some video game stuff. Fortnite live event is now officially scheduled for Monday. The countdown has appeared over the agency. 2 p.m. The live event, it's been delayed 2 times previously, but I don't think it's going to be delayed again. They're ready and raring to go, so the live event will be coming up. I've been playing it on my mobile phone, and I just bought the Battle Pass and a whole bunch of other stuff, so I'm level 62 right now, so I'm making my way with this. So I'll probably be watching that. The new season starts on Wednesday. So those are 2 big things that are going on this week as well. So we got those. The last day of school for my kids is on Friday. My birthday obviously is on Saturday. First day of summer is on Saturday. My son is in 5th grade. And unfortunately, he won't be able to have the fifth grade that most people have, where it's saying goodbye to your elementary years and prepping for your school years and all the events you get to do and trips you could do. He can't do that. So it's a little depressing on that end, but they will be having a virtual farewell party on Wednesday, the same day that the Fortnite Season 3 opens up. And the last day of school I already talked about is on Friday, and my birthday is coming up. So all that stuff is going on this week. So a lot of stuff going on this week. Also, starting this week is the Pokemon Go Solstice event. They did it last year, and this year they're going to do the same thing again. More sun-esque sort of creatures like Sunkerns and stuff like that are going to be coming up there. Now, there are two Pokemon, Solrock and Lunatone, which are two Pokemon that are separated by hemispheres. So as right now, the sun one, I just said the name of it and I can't think right now. The sun one is in our hemisphere, which is the Western Hemisphere. The Eastern Hemisphere has Lunatone. Solrock is the one that we have. Last year, those were switched. Lunatone was in our hemisphere and Solrock was in their hemisphere. Well, they're switching back again at this Solstice event. But first, what they're going to do is, starting on the 19th and 20th, which, by the way, the 20th is also Community Day, Weedle Community Day. So yippee. So my birthday is also all kinds of craziness. But the Solstice event does start on the 19th. And the 19th and 20th will be more of the Solrocks will appear in the Western Hemisphere and more Lunatones will appear in the Eastern Hemisphere. The 21st and 22nd, both will appear more regularly in both hemispheres. So you could have a Lunatone and a Solrock next to each other on your Pokemon Go screen. And then on the last 2 days, the 23rd and 24th, it's going to switch so that Lunatone will be popping up more in the Western Hemisphere and Solrock more in the Eastern Hemisphere. And that is going to be the way it is after the Solstice event. It's going to remain that way for another year. So Lunatone will now become the Western Hemisphere's Pokemon for another year. Now they do that with Zangoose and Seviper. So they're probably going to be doing that again soon, switching those guys up soon too. But then the week after that is the Bug event, which is another event that started last year as well. If you use your incense, you can incense specific, I think Ninkadas will pop up the first 2 days of the Bug event. The second 2 days is Wurmple, and the third 2 days is Scyther. So the last 2 days is Scyther. You'll also be able to do a pincer raid weekend, or rather raid day, and get a shiny with that. There's also, during the Solstice event, there's going to be shiny Clefairy, and then during the Bug event, there's going to be shiny Dweeble. So we got some new shinies coming up and changing things up. Stickers have also been added to the game, so you can add stickers to your presents. You'll get them in presents, and you can add them to presents you send to people as well. And my wife noticed the other day, actually it was yesterday, I think, that a brand new, no, it was 2 days ago, a brand new Pokestop has appeared in our neighborhood, in the playground that we have near here. So that's kind of an amazing thing as well. So that's pretty cool. Bruce Timm will be helming a new animated Batman movie. Hasn't been seen in a long time. You can now pre-order your Baby Yoda Christmas ornaments. I think I talked about that last week, but I just want to be sure that I reminded you guys of that. The moon of Titan is drifting away from Saturn, drifting off into space away from Saturn. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, which is a shame because Titan is right now the most interesting body in our planet, in our solar system right now. Excuse me. San Diego Con has been canceled, but they will be doing a virtual San Diego Con starting on July 22nd, where they'll have, dealers and to get, I guess, the San Diego exclusives and talking to creators and stuff like that. So that should be interesting to see. So check out your stuff in July, around July 22nd, if you want to get. It's free for everybody, so anybody can go to virtual San Diego. So if you want to go to San Diego for the first time ever, now's your chance. You won't be leaving home, but there you go. Chili lime watermelon fries is your new summer treat, I guess. I guess it's something. There was a recipe that you can make now. It just sounds kind of weird. A U.S. Marine claims he spent over a decade on Mars, where he was protecting 5 human colonies. I love hearing these kinds of weird, outlandish stories, because in some cases it's so outlandish that you're thinking to yourself, there's no way that's possible. And at the same time, to paraphrase Kaiser Soze, or Verbal Kint, I should say, or oops, never mind. The greatest trick the devil ever played was showing the world he was telling the world he didn't exist, and like that, he was gone. So basically, if you keep saying, and ridiculing, the colonies on Mars, what a moron! No way, there's no colonies on Mars. Maybe there's colonies on Mars. So check it out. Part of the political stuff, I talked about that in my last part of the show, the first part of the show. Another part of it is Lady Antebellum, the country star band, is changing their name to Lady because Antebellum is associated with the Civil War and slavery, so they're getting rid of that. So good on that. Proud of them. Pokemon plushes fill the Korean stadium as pro baseball returns to Korea. I think I talked about that one as well. I figured I would bring it up again. Dog in Australia digs up a 2-pound truffle worth $1,000. I think I talked about that one also. Truffles are a big business in the cooking world, and to find a big 2-pounder like that one is absolutely insane. Kathy Sullivan is the first NASA astronaut to be is the first person to be a NASA astronaut and to be in space. They've gone in space as a NASA astronaut and actually also gone to the deepest point and dived down to the deepest point in the ocean that you can go. So she's the only one. Only 8 people have done this dive to the deepest part of the earth, of the ocean. And Kathy Sullivan, who happened to also be an astronaut who spent time in space, has also done that as well. U.S. Olympic boxer said it was a female boxer, said she accidentally ingested steroids via unprotected sex. So are you saying that you ingested it? So unprotected sex. So was your dude sticking his thing in your mouth and he came and you swallowed it? Or was it a blowjob and you swallowed the steroids that were in the cum? Is that what it is? Maybe. I don't know. But that's a weird way to get out of a positive drug test for steroids. A 97-year-old dies and his family finds his baseball card collection, which is worth millions. Now that's the dream of every speculator. Like, I have all these comics around here, and when I die, if I still have them, could they be worth $1 million? Possibly, but to be fair, I haven't really been taking good care of them, so probably not. But I probably do have some book in here. As I said, I talked in the last show I just did, part 1, about the passing of Denny O'Neil. I've got his question run, which was back in the mid 80s. I've got Batman Year One. I've got some Dark Knight Returns. I've got the first Walking Dead. I got some stuff in here now. As I said, not in the best condition, but could it be worth $1 million? Sure, I guess someday. But that's what speculators do. That's what ruined the comic industry in the early 90s, was speculators thinking that they were seeing all these stories about Action Comics #1 or Detective 27 or Amazing Spider-Man #1 selling for millions of dollars. And they thought, hey, I can get a #1 comic now and just store it away. And then in 20 years or 30 years or whatever, I can get $1 million for it. It's not how it works, man. Nowadays, it's really hard for any comics to be worth a lot because they are huge print runs on them. And yes, there are ones that go to second and third printings, but the first printing does not make them as valuable as a $1 million one. It would probably be closer to like a $50 zone, if that. So depending on what it is. Are pyramids of the world, around the world, beaming energy rays or energy towers into space suddenly? Are pyramids around the world beaming energy beams into space suddenly beaming into space? So there have been multiple pictures of many pyramids around the country that have beams of light shooting out of them that suddenly appear. and no one can understand why. Again, possibly due to the new Mayan, the prediction that the end of the world is going to be this weekend coming up. So we'll see what happens about that. Teenage millionaire builds an operational Dr. Octopus suit. That is fairly scary, actually, if you think about it. Florida man single-handedly captures a 100-pound Burmese python. Those Florida people are absolutely insane. South Carolina high school graduation got hit with sprinklers. The groundskeepers forgot to turn off the automatic sprinklers during graduation on the school grounds, and the grads and their families got hosed by these sprinklers. So kind of interesting about that. A skydiver was caught by a 737 and dragged for 200 miles. Must be scary. You got snagged onto a wing or something and you're flying on the end of a plane. It's absolutely crazy. Promised Neverland, a manga my daughter has been reading, and is also an anime we haven't watched yet, is now going to be getting a live action adaptation. So it's in the works right now. It's a new trend right now. Cowboy Bebop's got one. One Piece is going to have one also. Speaking of One Piece is now officially on Netflix. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Blumhouse, their Dracula film will be faithful to the Bram Stoker novel. So that's good. They're going to be trying to rebuild the dark universe that they've been trying to do with the Tom Cruise Mummy movie that had Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde played by Russell Crowe in it. They also had plans for Bride of Frankenstein that Angelina Jolie had circled a while back. So maybe that'll be back online now. Starbucks will be closing 400 locations in the next 18 months due to the COVID-19 stuff, which is a shame. But, sometimes, things like that could happen. I talked about this last week, but I'll bring it again. Lasers could cut the lifespan of nuclear waste from a million years to 30 minutes. So using lasers, you could destroy nuclear waste in 30 minutes instead of in 1 million years. So that's encouraging. Amsterdam will be getting a Willy Wonka style chocolate factory complete with a roller coaster. So, hey, why not? I've always said, if you want to build a chocolate factory that actually makes chocolate and you want to get people to come visit it, this is what you do. Way to go, Amsterdam. There's some local news. A great white shark and a hammerhead shark were both photographed off the Ocean City coast over 2 separate days this week. So the sharks are making their way through their migration, but great whites in an area where many people swim or will be swimming, and a hammerhead on top of that, and almost back-to-back days, both photographed in the ocean surrounding Ocean City, Maryland. So pretty interesting. Was the moon brought here millions of years ago by 2 reptilian brothers, Wayne and Panku? Again, these crazy theories. I love reading about them. This one caught my eye. I mean, there's talk that a lot of people say the moon is not a real satellite. It's an artificial satellite. Like they also believe that the moons around Mars are also artificial satellites just because of the weirdness about them. Who knows? Maybe they're right. Maybe they're wrong. Some new food items, which might be of interest to you, are rolling out in the next couple of weeks. First, Kit Kat. They're always changing up their stuff. Last year, they released a lemon and birthday cake Kit Kats. And then Japan had I think I talked about one last week with some weird floral chili one or something like that. Well, back to a bit more realistic one. Apple pie Kit Kats will be hitting our area in July. You'd think that maybe they would wait until the fall, but instead they decided, we'll do it early. So apple pie Kit Kats will be available in mid-July. So I will probably pick them up, and hopefully in a future episode of Dylan Knows, you'll see me eat them. So we'll see what happens. This one I'm actually interested about. I think I might pick up soon. Pepsi has been making smaller cans. I mean, they fit the same amount of soda in as the regular cans, but they're skinnier and taller. They've had lime ones, which has been now replaced by this new one, which I'll get about in a second. Mango ones and blueberry, maybe. It was a weird flavor. But now you can add pineapple Pepsi to that. It is only available. It's available now, but it's only available at Walmart. So I might have to go to Walmart, check that out, and see if pineapple Pepsi is worth it. It's an intriguing idea, but I think a lime Pepsi is a better investment than a pineapple Pepsi. So we'll see what happens with that. Wendy's has gotten into a lot of trouble because they're backing that idiot in the White House. So a lot of people are saying they're never going to eat at Wendy's again. But one of those people that is not arguing about them is Pringles. The Pringles company has created a new Pringles based on Wendy's Baconator sandwich, which was they're one of the most popular sandwiches. So you can get those now. Also probably have tastes of beef and bacon and maybe a little bit of lettuce, cheesy sort of flavoring to it. I've had burger flavored ones before, and that's sort of what you're going to probably get. Maybe a little ketchup, mustardy sort of taste in there as well. So we'll see what happens with that. Everyone knows about the flaming hot Cheetos. Well, for a lot of people, it wasn't hot enough because now they are going to be creating flaming hot pepper puffs from Cheetos. So now they're flaming hot pepper pots. So it's going to be hotter than your flaming hot Cheetos. So if you like your Cheetos flaming hot, well, now you got yourself a new potato puff. Taxidermists have been turning deer butts into Asquatches. So here we are, 21 minutes into the show, and I finally talk about Asquatches. They are deer butts that are white usually, and these taxidermists have been putting like googly eyes and mouths and stuff on it and creating Asquatches because the deer's white butt is so fluffy it looks like the abominable snowman when you put the eyes and nose and mouth in there. So it is now a new thing, and people are buying it. My favorite band of all time is REM, and their album Fables of the Reconstruction, which is such a great name for an album, is coming out, or it came out 35 years ago this week. Maps and Legends is a good song. Driver 8. Old Man Kenzie, Can't Get There From Here, Green Girl, The Russians, Cahotek, Good Advices, Wendell G. So it's a pretty good it's a pretty good series. Let me see if I can get a little bit of Cahotek. That's Cahotek from REM's Fables of the Reconstruction. That's one of the songs. Driver 8 is another of their big popular ones from Fables of the Reconstruction. So good on that. 35 years came out. So, hey, another celebration from my REM group. I got a half a load of stuff. We should probably be done in about 7 minutes. Probably done about half an hour. So that's half hour show. Added to the show I did earlier makes it about an hour and 40 minutes, about normal. Stephen Amell, who played the Arrow in the Arrow TV show, his neighbor apparently has been taking shits on his roof. So Stephen Amell is going to be trying to stop him from doing that. Hartley Sawyer, who plays Elongated Man on the Flash TV show, has been fired from the Flash due to offensive tweets he's been putting out about being anti-Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. So he is going to be out of here. Sad news, a fiery crash kills 10 racehorses on the New Jersey Turnpike. That happened this week, including sires from Kentucky Derby and Preakness winners and Belmont winners as well. And there's a whole bunch of them. So it's always sad when animals pass away, and there's 10 of them right there are gone like that. The Sims were simulation games were huge in the 80s and 90s. There was Civilization and Sim City and stuff like that, and that has spiraled off into The Sims, which is now a game that my daughter plays. But they used to do Roller Coaster Tycoon and stuff like that, where you could create your own roller coasters and amusement parks. And there was the Sim City, where you create your own city, stuff like that, where you could create roller coasters and amusement parks. And there was the Sim City, where you create your own city and had to deal with natural disasters, but you had to make sure that you had plumbing and electricity and stuff like that. And you had to deal with crime and stuff like that. It was a very complicated but fun game, and the simulation games were huge. But and you started simulating everything. So there was all kinds of simulation games out there. But one that was created but never aired due to various oil spills that have happened during the 80s and 90s was Sim Refinery, where you had to run a refinery and do the whole sim thing like that. Well, that is now available to play on some computers now. They have uploaded it, and you can go ahead and finally own your own oil refinery. Man drives into the Seattle protesters and shoots and kills one, and people say, you shouldn't be protesting anything. Stuff like shit like that happens all the time, and yeah, that's not right. That asshole McConnell says we paid off slavery by electing Barack Obama president. That again is incredibly racist and ignorant, stupid ass, and hopefully he gets his ass removed from office and then arrested and thrown in jail. Single Mom has created a line of bilingual teddy bears. So you can have teddy bears that speak 2 different languages, and they'll give you ways to learn how to say goodnight and I love you and stuff like that in those languages. So I think it's always good. Doom Patrol was a huge hit as a live-action season 1 TV show on the DC streaming service, but now the DC streaming service is really no longer anything to worry about right now because all their stuff is now on HBO Max. So HBO Max is going to be premiering Doom Patrol Season 2 on June 25th, and they revealed the Season 2 trailer. And if you've read any of Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol, you will be happily encouraged by what you see from the season and also from the previous show. It's worth it itself to see the return of Brendan Fraser, who's been sorely missed for 20-some years. So it's great. Cracker Barrel is going to start adding beer. Oh, that's great. Cracker Barrel is going to start adding beer and wine as well as mimosas to their menu when they reopen their stores to up the sales. So I figured they never really served alcohol before. Now they said, you know what? We need to get people back out into the restaurants, stuff like that. And people aren't just going to come to Cracker Barrel. We need to get people here. So let's give them booze. Okay, good. Speaking of booze, Fireball Sangria actually sounds pretty good. You use Fireball and add it to your sangria and get a little bit of a spicy, fruity cinnamon wine drink you get during the summer. So that might actually be an intriguing one that I might have to look into. A Texas man has been yelling and chasing people with a chainsaw during the protests. Again, insane people doing insane things they shouldn't be doing and should be arrested and thrown in jail. Haunted pub that's been haunted for decades and has been closed down for a while has a new owner, and they are going to reopen it, haunting and all. So you'll be able to drink your brews and alcohol in a actual haunted bar coming up soon. Don't know exactly where, but it is coming up. Davy Crockett and Teddy Roosevelt both encountered Bigfoot. So Bigfoot has not just been seen by weirdos and wilderness people and stuff like that. It's been seen by 2 fairly famous people in American history. So maybe there's something you should start thinking about. And both of whom would know the difference between a bear and a Bigfoot. Grinch-themed roses are these gorgeous Grinch green color roses that I thought were really neat looking. They are now an actual thing, and I want to get some. They look really cool. Has Elon Musk created a gateway to Mars? He tweeted out something mysterious saying something about the gateway to Mars is coming or something like that. And so sci-fi people particularly jumped on it thinking that he has created a Stargate, which would be a portal to Mars. But in actuality, if you think about it, basically he was saying that with discussion that his SpaceX rocket was fine, which means it will be able to send people to the moon first on these SpaceX ships to create a base on the moon that people can use as a gateway to Mars, because that was always the way people thought the best way to get to Mars would be, is not to be launching from Earth, but from launching from the moon. You can, get the ship up to the moon, and then you can fuel it, you can refill it, you can send it on its way, do an orbit around the Earth, and then shoot it down there, and would cut the time to get to Mars than it could be if it's coming from a different point in space. The time to get to Mars than it could be if it's coming from a different point in space than Earth. So that's a good idea, and that's what it was. So all you guys thinking he's created a Stargate, nah, he hasn't done it. Finally, the last story, speaking of Mars, and after the story I just said about a Marine claiming that he's been in charge of 5 groups of people who've been living on Mars. How about this? The Curiosity Rover, one of the pictures that they sent back before he was shut down, was that of a possible Martian bird flying in the sky. It was a weird object that looked a lot like a bird flying in the sky, and it was photographed in the Martian sky by Curiosity Rover. So who knows? Maybe there are actual birds, insects, all kinds of crazy animals on Mars due to a lot of the pictures we've been seeing. Well, that's it. Kind of pissed that I had to divide this up into 2 videos, but the connections have been unstable, and hopefully that will not continue. And this is just a fluke because I hated the idea of having to do 2 separate ones. But hey, we have to do what we got to do, right? All right, y'all. Take care. Next week is a big weekend. My birthday, Father's Day, big week coming up, and enjoy yourself. And that's it. Bye.